Welcome to Mysteries and Crime, your go-to channel for exploring the most captivating and perplexing true crime stories. If you love unraveling mysteries and piecing together the puzzles of history's most chilling cases, you're in the right place. Before we dive into today's story, a quick reminder: hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to share your thoughts or case suggestions in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Imagine the frozen wilderness of the Canadian Arctic, vast and unforgiving, stretching for miles, with nothing but snow and ice. This desolate landscape became the stage for one of the most extraordinary manhunts in North American history. The story of the mad trapper of Rat River. Who was this enigmatic fugitive? And what drove him to a violent confrontation that still echoes through history? Our story begins in the early 1930s, a time when the Canadian Arctic was sparsely populated and incredibly harsh. In July 1931, a stranger arrived in Fort McPherson, a small outpost in the Northwest Territories. He called himself Albert Johnson. He was a man of average height, with piercing blue eyes and a demeanor that exuded secrecy. He carried little with him and spoke even less, raising immediate suspicion among the locals. Johnson built a small, isolated cabin along the Rat River, far from any established community. Despite the friendliness of the locals, he kept entirely to himself. Attempts to engage him in conversation were met with silence or curt replies. The local mounted police noted his odd behavior, but he hadn't broken any laws yet. In December 1931, reports began to circulate among trappers in the area that their traps were being tampered with. Someone was springing them and stealing the bait. All evidence pointed toward Albert Johnson. Trapping was a livelihood for many in the Arctic, and tampering with traps was not only unethical, but also illegal. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, decided to pay Johnson a visit to investigate the claims. On December 26, Constable Alfred King and Special Constable Joe Bernard set out to question Johnson at his cabin. When they arrived, Johnson refused to open the door. After several attempts to communicate with him, the officers left, planning to return with reinforcements. A few days later, armed with a search warrant, the RCMP returned. This time, Johnson responded with gunfire. A tense standoff ensued, with Johnson barricading himself inside his cabin. The officers were forced to retreat, and one of them was injured in the exchange. This shocking escalation marked the beginning of a manhunt that would grip the nation. The RCMP quickly realized that apprehending Johnson would not be easy. The following week, they gathered a larger team of officers and returned to the cabin, this time equipped with dynamite. They used the explosives to destroy the cabin, but when the smoke cleared, Johnson was gone. Miraculously, he had escaped into the wilderness, leaving behind only footprints in the snow. The pursuit that followed was nothing short of legendary. Johnson's survival skills were unparalleled. He navigated the treacherous Arctic terrain with ease, evading his pursuers at every turn. Despite temperatures dropping to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, Johnson seemed unaffected, moving swiftly and leaving little trace. His ability to outmaneuver the RCMP baffled and frustrated them. By January 1932, the story of the mad trapper had captured national attention. Newspapers across Canada and the United States reported on the elusive fugitive, dubbing him the mad trapper of Rat River. Speculation about his identity ran wild. Some believed he was a prospector gone rogue, while others suggested he might be an international spy or even a wanted criminal from another country. The truth remained a mystery. As the manhunt intensified, the RCMP enlisted the help of an aviation pioneer, Wilfred Wap May, using a small biplane, May provided aerial reconnaissance, a groundbreaking tactic at the time. He spotted Johnson's tracks from the air, giving the RCMP an advantage they desperately needed. However, Johnson's resourcefulness continued to confound his pursuers. He doubled back on his tracks, crossed frozen rivers, and climbed steep mountains to throw them off his trail. The chase came to a head in February 1932, after 48 days of relentless pursuit. Johnson was cornered in a steep canyon near the Eagle River. Surrounded and outnumbered, he refused to surrender. A fierce gunfight ensued, during which Johnson was fatally shot. When officers searched his belongings, they found a small amount of gold, a few personal items, and $2,410 in cash. What they didn't find were any documents that could reveal his true identity. The mystery of the Mad Trapper's identity has never been solved. Over the years, forensic advancements have provided some clues, but they have also deepened the enigma. In 2007, Johnson's remains were exhumed for DNA testing. Scientists hoped to match his DNA with databases to uncover his origins. The results suggested he was of Scandinavian descent, but no matches were found in any existing records. Why did Albert Johnson, if that was even his real name, choose such an isolated and harsh existence? What drove him to tamper with traps and engage in a violent standoff with law enforcement? These questions remain unanswered, fueling endless speculation and theories. One theory posits that Johnson may have been suffering from paranoia or a psychological condition that made him distrustful of others. His refusal to speak and his violent actions might indicate a deep-seated fear of capture, even if he hadn't committed any prior crimes. Was he a drifter who stumbled upon the wrong region, or did he intentionally isolate himself as a way to escape the modern world? Some speculate that Johnson was a military deserter, hiding in the wilderness to avoid prosecution. His incredible survival skills and resourcefulness suggest he may have undergone specialized training, perhaps during World War I. Could he have been a soldier who turned his back on society after witnessing the horrors of war? The societal context of the time also offers some insight. The Great Depression gripped the world in the 1930s, leaving many men desperate and displaced. The Arctic, with its harsh conditions and lack of oversight, became a refuge for those seeking to escape their past or start anew. Could Johnson have been one such man, fleeing economic hardship or personal tragedy? Investigators faced numerous challenges during the manhunt. The Arctic's severe weather tested their endurance, equipment, and resolve. Temperatures plummeted to life-threatening lows, and blizzards frequently obscured visibility. Communication was limited, forcing officers to rely on slow, outdated methods to coordinate their efforts. The use of aerial reconnaissance by Wilfred May was groundbreaking but fraught with risks, as flying in such conditions was perilous. The officers' determination to capture Johnson despite these obstacles speaks to their commitment to justice, or perhaps their frustration with being outwitted by a single man. Modern forensic techniques offer a glimmer of hope for uncovering Johnson's identity. Advances in DNA analysis and genealogical databases could one day provide the answers that have eluded investigators for nearly a century. In 2007, when Johnson's remains were exhumed, forensic scientists hoped to match his DNA to living descendants or historical records. Although they determined he was of Scandinavian descent, no conclusive matches were found, leaving the mystery unresolved. The legacy of the Mad Trapper continues to intrigue and inspire. His story has been immortalized in books, documentaries, and films, each retelling adding new layers of speculation and intrigue. For the people of the Arctic, his tale is a reminder of the region's rugged beauty and unforgiving nature. For historians and true crime enthusiasts, it's a puzzle that defies resolution. Some modern researchers have suggested that advanced forensic genealogy, the same technology used to identify suspects in decades-old cold cases, could eventually solve the mystery of Albert Johnson's identity. This method combines DNA analysis with extensive genealogical research, creating a detailed family tree that might pinpoint his origins. While this technology is promising, the question remains, will anyone take up the case after so many years? The Mad Trapper's story is a testament to the enduring allure of unsolved mysteries. It's a tale of survival, defiance, and the relentless pursuit of the unknown. Johnson's actions, though criminal, have immortalized him as a folk hero of sorts, a symbol of human resilience against the odds. His story challenges us to consider the lengths to which a person will go to preserve their freedom, even in the face of insurmountable odds. As we reflect on this incredible story, we're reminded of the vast and untamed wilderness that still exists in our world. The Arctic, with its beauty and brutality, served as both a refuge and a prison for Albert Johnson. His legacy lives on, not only in the annals of Canadian history, but also in the imagination of those who hear his story. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the mystery of the Mad Trapper. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your theories about Johnson's identity and what drove him to such extreme actions. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.